So, for those of you who have been complaining about cooling and other things with your CPU, GPU rig, just want to point out some of your options. And we're going to look at this Silverstone SG05B with a 450 watt SFX power supply built in. As you can see, against a 15-inch notebook, the box is smaller. It's basically smaller in all dimensions except for thickness. And you can see right into the compartment there where the CPU is at. I have not added a side intake fan. That could easily be done with a 60, 80 millimeter. I don't think a 120 would fit. And if we look at the other side, as you can see here, you can see the GPU fan. So when you'll open up, you'll see it. This case is 3 years old. It's lasted. It's an 80% plus efficient power supply. Hence why the 450 watts can drive even an i7 4790 with a 970 GPU from nVidia. No problems. This is the older case. Again, it's 3 years old and has USB 2.0. The newer ones have 3.0. You can get the power supplies up to 600 watt. This 450 in the case design usually runs about $100 total. So let's go ahead and take the cover off. Now this is a 660 Ti. The thermal dissipation is 150 watts. There's no reason you couldn't put a 165 watt 970 GTX in here. This is a Galaxy card, one of the cheaper ones. This is my backup unit. Basically, when I bought the GPU, I put it in this case with an older Sandy Bridge processor. It's an i5 2500, which is very popular. Again, the i7 4790K could go in here. It's even a lower thermal. It has room for a 5 1/4 slim. You'll see the front, the 120 millimeter fan. There's the power supply, the Silverstone. This is again the 450 watt. It's going to be a single rail with 36 amps. Those people that say I have to have dual rail, you don't really need it. Unless you're running SLI with multiple sockets or some other things, Xeons, a consumer grade is fine. The case dimensions are about 11 inches long, probably closer to 12, which is what's going to limit you with the card length. If you'd like to go with another Mini-ITX, it's longer, like an Elite 120 from Cooler Master, which is actually cheaper, and then you can fit a full ATX in there. That's fine. But these SFX power supplies are just fine. They're going to be 3-4 inches long, 3 inches high, and about 6 inches wide. Plenty of room for a taller cooler. I'm running all stock coolers, and as typical with Mini-ITX, usually only 2 slots. But if you're just gaming or doing basic, a couple VMs, 16 gig is more than enough. Here's where you can see the power supplies, the hard drives. There is a 2.5 in here. It can be up to 15 millimeter, and then there's a 3.5 bay, 1 inch high. I've chosen to put 2.5 drives in there. If you do a 3 inch by 1 inch high, you can fit it. It is tight. The cabling will come out to here. Won't be much clearance. It definitely does work. It is tight. These days with SSDs, NAND-based SSDs, and even the hybrid drives like I have in here, I have dual 750 gig Seagate, the older ones that had 8 gig of single level, not even multi, and then the 750 at 7200. You can get the 2 gig 5400s, or 2 terabyte 5400s, or the 1 terabyte 5400 with 8 gig of NAND hybrid drives these days. So many options. So I just wanted to point this out for those of you complaining about cooling. You get side air into there on the CPU. You get the 120 blowing right over the hard drives, with an optional slim bay here, and then you get the cooling there right pulling off the case from the other side. So you get cool air going in 3 of the 4 sides and the hot air coming up back here. So for those you've been asking for this, figured I'd show it to you. This is an 80 plus power supply. Again, it's so worth just going with the Silverstone and getting the 450 right away. No reason you can't run an i7 with the latest 970 GTX card. If you need something more than that and you need to go SLI, then so be it. But there's really limited reasons these days if you really don't have dual 980 video cards to do anything else. I mean, this thing can cool and give enough power to anything. It is portable. It's, again, other than thickness, it's smaller than a 15-inch notebook. So